Welcome to New York 4 to 7, presented by Verizon. I'm your host, Chelsea Sherrod, and today I'm so happy to be joined by WFAN's Emmanuel Berbari. Let's see how many topics we'll be discussing today. 5 topics for the 5 train. Our first topic, Emmanuel, the Yankees lost the weekend series to the rival Red Sox, whose record currently sits under 500. What happened?
Red Sox hit, Yankees didn't pitch. And that was the case from Friday, middle of the game moving forward. Yankees held on to that Friday night game, but I feel like everyone in the ballpark was getting a little more nervous as that game unfolded. They had that 5-run, excellent first inning against Walker Buehler. Stadium was rocking. And then middle innings, Red Sox started to hit. Yankees barely hold on in that game. And Saturday, Sunday, it's like a continuation of that. So a Yankee pitching staff outside of a couple days at Dodger Stadium, which has been otherworldly over these last couple months, ran into a Red Sox lineup that hit. And I think the Yankees are in a spot now, not in their starting rotation necessarily, but in their bullpen, where with Luke Weaver down, the options when you're trailing a game and looking to come back, it's a little more complicated. Who do you go to? Do you go to your high leverage guys? Do you run out the same guys each and every day? And they ran into that problem the last couple of days, and these Red Sox leads just kept growing. The one note I look back to is 5th inning forward on Friday. Red Sox scored 26 runs in this series. That's a lot of runs scored in a short period of time. So what really happened was the Yankee pitching.
Yeah, Aaron Boone said that the Red Sox had their hitting shoes on for this series. But yeah, they definitely have like a depth issue, especially in the pen. But Emmanuel, Red Sox 4th in the division. Who do you see as the Yankees' biggest threats in the AL East so far this season?
You know, entering the season, I thought it was the Red Sox, even though they've struggled. I look at the Red Sox as the biggest threat to the Yankees in the division, just based on some of the star power and the pedigree that they have in that room. Now, things haven't gone how they expected whatsoever. The pitching hasn't panned out how they would have liked. They've had some injuries in the starting rotation as well. And Alex Bregman is a key name down in the lineup, but they're expecting now they could be back a little sooner than expected. So even though the Red Sox are still under 500, they win this series. I think of all the teams that are making some headway in the division, the Blue Jays recently went on a run. The Rays have been playing really good baseball. I don't look at those two teams and say that's a threat to the Yankees to ultimately win the division. The Red Sox, if they get hot, I look at the Red Sox as a threat based on the pedigree they had going into the year. A lot will have to happen between now and then for that to be realized in an actual threat. But seeing them this weekend at less than 100%, way less than 100%, go out there and compete with the Yankees, you could sense they knew the stage they were on. That is a precursor to me of what could come with the Yankees and Boston going back and forth a bit.
Yeah, I mean, they stepped up on that stage. To our second topic, Emmanuel, Red Sox rookie Hunter Dobbins was quoted saying, "If the Yankees were the last team to give me a contract, I'd retire." Before his first start against the Yankees, he was then greeted in the first inning with Aaron Judge and a long ball to right field. What was your reaction when you saw the comments by Dobbins? And do you agree with Jazz Chisum that there should be more trash talk in baseball?
Well, second question first, I agree with Jazz. I love this stuff. I think it just adds a little bit more of an element to the games. And I think I like that players admire each other, and these are the best in the world at what they do. So they have the mutual admiration, and some of them are friends going way back. So when they dap each other up on the field, you understand why. But especially in a Yankees-Red Sox rivalry, I want a couple players on each side not to like each other. I do think it adds an element to the game and to the fans. You know, when the fans go back and forth, they love when their teams are also jockeying back and forth, and there's that parallel. So I 100% agree with Jazz. I think, not too much of it, but there could be more of it for sure. It's definitely been toned down in recent years. The Dobbins quote, when I first saw it, I thought, whoa, that's a direct shot at the Yankees. But then you look at the full context, and he was sort of playing it off like his dad grew up a big Red Sox fan, and they had talked about it and circled it on the calendar. So I think a lot was made of what was a little fun jab and reference to his family. Even when Aaron Judge was asked about it post-game, he's like, I wasn't aware of it until Eduardo Perez told me on the field. And I don't think Aaron Judge was stepping up to the plate in the first inning thinking about the Dobbins quote. I think he was wondering, how do I get a pitch to hit? And how do I hit it 438 feet into the right center field bleachers? So I think a lot was made out of it, but it was really funny, kind of jab and family reference at that.
Yeah, I think a lot was made from it also because it was coming from a rookie as well. And I mean, there's no better response from Aaron Judge than for him to go yard. But yes, give me all the trash talk like this is a rivalry for a reason. After the game, Judge said, I've only heard Ken Griffey say that, so I was a little surprised. So I think, yeah, coming from a rookie definitely kind of made things a little interesting. But Aaron Judge, with his multi-homer game on Sunday, was his 43rd, tying him with Lou Gehrig for third all-time as a Yankee. Emmanuel, how amazing is what we're watching Judge do in the Bronx this season?
It's beyond amazing. And I think we all have to collectively, not that we're not doing this, but if you're not, take a step back. And every time Aaron Judge steps up to the plate, realize what we're watching, appreciate what we're watching. Because when he's associated with those names, we're not cherry picking stats here. It's sometimes you have to stretch and you have to really narrow the focus to take one player and put him next to an all-time great. You don't have to do that with Aaron Judge. Every time he hits a home run, seemingly, we're putting his name next to an all-time great for good reason, because he belongs in that company. We are watching a Mickey Mantle. We are watching a Babe Ruth. The fact he tied Lou Gehrig for third in franchise history in multi-homer games, that's happening for a reason. We are watching one of the best to ever play in the pinstripes, one of the best to ever play the sport in general. So nothing surprises me anymore. But I remind myself, like, don't take this for granted, because even once Judge's career wraps up, those players don't just come into the fray all of a sudden. And, you have to wait a while. These players don't come every 5 years, every 10 years. They come, once in a lifetime.
Yeah, I mean, he's a unicorn type of a player, but you can hear at Yankee Stadium when he does walk up to his at-bat, the crowd is cheering, and they don't even care what he did the at-bat before or what he's going to do next. They're just excited to see whatever he will ultimately end up doing. Back to Jazz Chisholm for a moment. He recently returned from an oblique injury, and in a press conference after the Yankees win on Friday, he said he has adjusted his game to play at 70%. What have you seen in Jazz since his return from the IL?
What I would say is, if you didn't watch the full press conference and you're a fan consuming that quote, don't take it at face value. This is not Jazz saying, I'm not going to hustle. This is not Jazz saying, I'm not going to give 100%. This is a player in Jazz Chisum who, when he came back, said, I want to do whatever it takes to win a championship. I want to do whatever it takes to win a ring. That's why he went back to third base full time and with no hesitation. He just heard it from Aaron Boone and said, look, whatever's best for the team. I'm playing with some of the best players in the world. Whatever it takes to go out there and win. It's not about me. He's a selfless player. That quote is about a mentality shift, because Jazz feels, for a couple of reasons, that playing at 100% and trying to do too much at times has cost him throughout his career. Maybe it's within an at-bat trying to do too much and forcing the issue. Maybe it's defensively with making an error. Maybe it's getting hurt. He feels that swing in Baltimore that ultimately pushed it over the top and got him hurt. Maybe was going 100, 110%, and then you wind up with an oblique injury and you're out for a month and a half. So I think it's more about a mentality shift. He is so talented. Like, he has every tool. You think about all the tools that make a great player great. Jazz has all of them. Now, putting them all together and becoming that superstar-like player sometimes is a mentality thing, and sometimes is letting the game come to you. It's one of those cliches that always rings true. So I think 70% is Jazz's way of saying, I'm going to let the game come to me now. And Jazz, everyone sees his talent. So maybe if he does let the game come to him more, we see even more of the superstar version of what he could be.
Yeah, that's a really great perspective. And the context is super important. But also, how important is Jazz to this Yankees lineup?
Huge. And we saw it this week. The Yankees had a 3-3 homestand. It probably felt they should have won both series on this homestand, but the Cleveland series in particular. And then Friday night, Jazz won them some games. I'm not discounting other performances, but his swings were the deciding swings in games that turned them. Whether it be Friday night and Yankees go from second and third, nobody out, to second and third, 2 out, that big 2-out, 3-run home run where he went down and got that pitch. Cleveland, he won them a couple of games. And he's not only doing it in the power department and defensively looking so smooth over at third, like he would say a natural third baseman, even though that's not his natural position, but on the base paths and forcing the issue a little bit and making things happen, something that this Yankee team with their personnel, they feel they're better at than last year, and making things happen on the bases. He is super integral to this team, especially now batting, 5th, 6th in the lineup. Yeah. That deepens things out a lot. And also, all the talk was about third base and how the Yankees can improve at third. Now there's your third baseman. So should DJ LeMahieu continue playing at the level he is at second base and stay healthy? There's your infield. Or, you just have to upgrade second at the deadline, as opposed to looking at third where the options may not be as fruitful. So Jazz has solved that third base problem. Now it just becomes, all right, you give some runway to DJ LeMahieu and see what he has.
Yeah, I mean, whatever Jazz is doing is clearly working. He's been super impressive since his return. To our next topic, Emmanuel, Yankees pitchers gave up 27 runs this weekend in the series against the Red Sox, with starters Will Warren, Ryan Yarbrough, and Carlos Rodon on the hook for 17 of the 27. Is there any concern with the Yankees starting pitching?
It's funny. It only takes a series to change the discussion about the Yankee starting rotation, because for 40 games there, they were collectively pitching to a 2.9 ERA. It was a ridiculous run that they were on. But I do think there are some areas to monitor going into the next month or so with this starting rotation. Carlos Rodon, I'm not worried about the Sunday night performance. He had 3 hits, 2 of them left the ballpark. That was a little bit more reminiscent of his first few starts of the season, where the long ball was hurting him, but that was the only thing that was hurting him, as opposed to the 9-start stretch, which was the best of his career. Coming into that start, we had a 1.27 ERA. He was incredible. So I'm not as worried about Rodon. Max Fried has been a given all year, time in and time out. He's been a Cy Young candidate. I'm curious because Clark Schmidt is that sturdy option in the middle of your rotation. He's always going to keep you in a game at a minimum. I'm looking at the back end. Will Warren, for most of May, was spectacular. He was like a rookie of the year candidate type of pitcher in the month of May, then had that really tough start at Dodger Stadium. Ryan Yarbrough, excellent, but then has that hiccup against the Red Sox, sort of similar to what happened to Will Warren at Dodger Stadium in some ways. That 4 and 5 in the rotation, do those guys stabilize the next month? Or all the brilliant pitching we saw in the month of May, does that start to taper off? If it does, I think the Yankees are going to be really active in the starting pitching market at the trade deadline. If more of what we saw from Yarbrough and Warren in May stays true, there's very little to tweak with this Yankee team. So I think time will tell over the next month.
Definitely. And after the third game of that series, Aaron Judge said that if there's any guy that he wants on the mound, especially facing the Red Sox in those situations, it's Carlos Rodon. I just think that was just like a bump in the road for him this season. To our fifth and final topic, the Yankees head to Kansas City to begin a 3-game series with the Royals tomorrow and end the week in Boston to face the Red Sox once again. Emmanuel, what are you looking for at the start of the week before New York has to go face their division rivals on their home turf at Fenway?
I'm looking at Kansas City pitching. Whenever you face the Royals now, it's can you size up this pitching staff? Yankees had to do it in the division series last year. They had to do it in April when they swept the Royals in the Bronx. They've done a really good job at it, doing just enough to beat this Kansas City team. I'm looking at that once again. The Yankees have been really good for the most part in the pitching department. It's how these bats line up against Kansas City. They're going to see Noah Cameron, a young lefty who's been really, really good in the series opener. And then they'll see 2 guys who are, you evaluate them, tippy top of anybody's board. Seth Lugo, the start he had at Yankee Stadium last year late in the season was maybe one of the best starts we've ever seen at the new ballpark. He was carving up that Yankee lineup, didn't allow anybody past second base. It was an incredible sight to behold. And then the Yankees just had to get enough against him in the postseason to ultimately win that division series. Chris Bubich has been a remarkable story for Kansas City. He's starting the middle game. So you got 3 pitchers who are among the best in baseball you're going to see in Kansas City. Can the Yankees hit those guys and get a series victory? And then you have an immediate chance to redeem yourself against Boston.
Yeah, all right. We'll see how they do over the next 2 series. Thank you all so much for watching New York 4 to 7 presented by Verizon. For Emmanuel Berbari, I'm Chelsea Sherrod. We will see you soon.